Hello and welcome to another episode of Chatting with Janine. I'm your host, State Representative Janine Nodder. I have a special guest this week. You might remember her. She was our U.S. Senator. It's Kelly Ayotte, and now she's running for Governor of New Hampshire. So welcome, Kelly.
Thanks so much, Janine. It's great to be with you.
I know you've been on the show before. It's been a long time, but
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you have been here in Merrimack because I remember us talking about how there's only 100 senators, 2 for every state.
Right.
And that's really significant to have a senator
Well,
on the show.
it's great to be back on your show, and I appreciate all your hard work in the legislature.
Thank you.
And, I'm very thrilled to be on the show because I'm running for governor, and I love our state. And I just decided I couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore because New Hampshire is very special, as you know. Mm-hmm. And when I think about our state and how important this election for governor is, we're really one election away from becoming Massachusetts if the wrong person gets in charge.
Yes, and you know that ruffles feathers sometimes.
It does.
Why does that ruffle feathers?
I don't understand why it ruffles feathers because we have a uniqueness here in New Hampshire. No income, no sales tax, no estate taxes. We value our constitutional freedoms, and we're very different from our neighbors. And I think protecting that uniqueness and even strengthening our live free or die values, that's what it's all about, and that's why I'm running for governor.
Awesome. So what's it like? What's a typical day on the campaign trail?
Well, a typical day on the campaign trail, like I'm here with you today, but
it's important stuff. Very important stuff.
Very important. Love all the fairs, and so this weekend I was up at the Sandwich Fair, the last New Hampshire fair of the season. But
Did you have the sandwich while you were there?
I didn't have a sandwich at the Sandwich Fair, but I did have some fried.
At the Marjan. Yes, at the Marjan and at my church, Our Lady of the Cedars.
No, I was at Marjan. I was there, and so I really hit all the fairs, Deerfield, you name it. Been to those. And then we're out meeting people, whether it's house parties, being at local events, visiting businesses. I've been up north, been to different places in our state, love our state. I was in Littleton, I was up in Pittsburgh, I was up to our northern border. So campaigning is just about getting out and meeting people, talking to them about what your vision is for the state, listening to people,
yes,
to hear what's on their mind, so that if I have the privilege of serving as governor, I can make sure that I'm representing the people of this state and we're addressing their concerns.
So up at the northern border, can you talk about that? Yeah.
The northern border, obviously we know what, I know you just did a show on it, the disaster that the southern border is. Mm-hmm. The Biden administration has these open border policies that are just bad for New Hampshire in general. Because the southern border, of course, we have so much fentanyl being trafficked up to Lowell and Lawrence and into our state and killing our people. Mm-hmm. But we also have an issue on that northern border. And I told you I was up in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire on the border. I spoke to local law enforcement there. And I also visited with a family who has a farm right on the border. And you can look over a stream and see Canada from their farm. They've had this as a generational farm in their family, and what they've experienced is they basically intercepted a drug transaction, drug drop on their property, and then they've also had illegal immigrants coming over their property. And if you look at the data on our northern border, over the last 11 months, the sector that we are in has experienced more illegal immigration than in the last 10 years combined. And the illegal immigrants that are coming over, they're not Canadian, from 76 different countries. Mm-hmm. And this is a real problem. We need more border security, not just on our southern border, but on our northern border.
And they're unvetted. So you have tens of thousands of people crossing the border every day, yes, and we don't know what their intentions are.
Unvetted, and also drugs are being trafficked, human trafficked. So crime, this is not good for public safety. In New Hampshire, in fact, Governor Sununu wrote the Biden administration and asked for more resources to dedicate to the northern border, and basically they said no. Again, I think it's part of their open border policy. It's unfortunate. It's not safe for the country. It's not safe for New Hampshire, and of course, it's helping fuel this deadly fentanyl epidemic that's killing our people.
So every election cycle, I don't usually endorse people, but I did this time, and I did endorse you.
I am so thrilled to have your endorsement, Janine, because I know how hard you work and how well you represent the people of Merrimack.
Thank you. And when I talk to people, they're like, oh, Kelly's running, yay, and they're excited about it. And I remember when you were a senator, I would pick up my son from elementary school, and there was a mom there that said she went to school with you when you were kids.
Yes.
So I'm like, because you're from the
I
area.
am. I'm from Nashua. I still live in Nashua. So I graduated from Nashua High School, and my husband did as well. So we're lifelong New Hampshire residents, both born here, raising our children here. And so we're lifers, and we love this state.
They were just little. They were like little.
They are. They're big now. So our daughter Kate is actually a freshman or a dually at the Air Force Academy.
Good for her.
So we're really proud of her.
I have 3 sons in the Air Force.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. We're definitely an Air Force family too. And then our son Jake he's a sophomore in high school at Bishop Girton, and so would love this state. It's so important to us that this state remain safe, prosperous, and free, and that's really what I'm running on.
So being from the area, when you're campaigning, do most people know who you are, or do you have to introduce yourself?
Some people know who I am. That's great. And if they don't, I just introduce myself and let them know who I am and why I'm running. But it's kind of fun to be out on the campaign trail again, because I do see a lot of people that I know, or I've met before, or might have known me from having served as a senator, or before that I served as Attorney General.
Yes,
so
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
I love our state, so going out and campaigning to me is a lot of fun, and it just gives you a chance to really meet so many great people in our state. Mm-hmm. That's really the treasure of our state, the people of this state.
I know there used to be a show on Merrimack TV called Peyton's Place. So Pete Hinkle was a state rep at the time.
Oh, I know Pete.
Yes,
yeah,
and you were on his show as the
Yeah.
Attorney General. But that's when Merrimack TV was at the high school. But time goes by so fast.
Yeah, no, I know. It does go by fast. And, you think about the people in New Hampshire that volunteer for the local community, yourself, our legislature. You're really doing it because you love our state, and that's a great part of our state. We have a citizen legislature, and we also have so many people that work in the community and nonprofits and give their time, and that's what makes this a great state.
And the show I taped yesterday was about someone who donates their time. She does some wonderful work volunteering. Jennifer DeFelice. We were talking about Wreaths Across America.
Wreaths Across America.
So I know you're big into
such
veterans
an important,
issues as well.
Charity and helping
Right,
our
and
veterans and honoring them.
You run 5Ks for awareness for the veterans.
I do. So I'm actually on the board of Veterans Count, and then I'm also on Swim with a Mission, which are 2 New Hampshire charities. And Veterans Count works with Easter Seals, and it's really a veteran service organization. Our goal is to provide services to veterans, any veteran in need. And then Swim with a Mission, which was founded by 2 great people in New Hampshire, Phil and Julie Taub. And that is a mission, a really wonderful nonprofit that helps not only the Navy SEALs and their families, but many veterans organizations in New Hampshire. So veterans are near and dear to my heart, just like they are to you, Janine.
I know. And even though we're Air Force families, we actually appreciate all the branches of the service.
We do.
And we've both run the Dan Healy 5K, and he was a Navy SEAL.
In fact, I'll be at the Dan Healy, certainly that 5K this year, and my husband and I are going to go.
And you also ran the torch run here in Merrimack for, oh my goodness, what is that called?
Special Olympics.
Special Olympics, thank
years
you.
ago,
Yes,
years ago, I ran it with the law.
Bill Boyd was
yes,
running
with Bill and with local law enforcement. Then, Chief Milligan and lots of,
yeah. So when the race started, we were at one end of town and then to the other. My son was in high school at the time, and there's a policeman, and I looked at him. I said, "Are you there for me?" I started out last. I said, well, somebody's got to bring up the rear.
Oh,
but then I ended up.
You know how that is. We leave no man or woman behind in that. That's the great thing.
But I just thought it was funny that the policeman was tailing me. But getting back to issues, there's some issues out there that are really important to me and to people in the state, like parental rights.
Yes.
So, and education. So let's start with parental rights.
Well, I feel that parents really they're the most important force in a child's life. And I believe strongly in parental rights. I really want to put parents in the driver's seat when it comes to them knowing what is happening in our schools and really having the right to know about their kids and being able to make the decisions for their children. That's also why I'm a strong believer in education freedom. Every child learns differently. And so what we want to do is put parents in a position with their children to decide what is the best venue for that child to learn so that every child can reach their full potential. And I really appreciate, I know you've done a lot of work on that in the legislature with the education freedom accounts, but we saw so much. I know as a parent whose kids were in school, during the lockdowns and COVID, our kids lost a lot. And making sure that they're in the right place and they're getting the best education for them is so important.
Yes. I think I told you this story before. It's been a while, though. When I was in high school, our librarian is from Cuba. She escaped Cuba. Cuba's a communist country. And she told me they take your children away when they're this big, and they indoctrinate them and teach them to be communists.
Awful.
So the parents don't even have rights to their children. The state owns the children. And this is America, where people are free, and the children belong to their parents, not the state.
Of course they do. And no one is going to love a child more than a parent. So I think it's really important that we empower parents. And I think myself, I know you're a mom, I'm a mom. For our children, we're so engaged, right? We want to know what's happening.
Exactly.
And we want to know so we can help them make the best decisions for themselves and us to make the best decisions for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think it's right to keep secrets from parents about their children.
No, I think we need to be transparent when it comes to our children. It's really important.
Thank you. So when you're getting back to the campaign trail, what are the people in the state asking you? What are their concerns?
Well, one of the things that I've heard about that certainly is important to me as well, I served as Attorney General of our state, and if you look at our largest city, Manchester, unfortunately, that city, I think it's a great city, so many good people there. The problem is if you walk down the street in Manchester, you're going to smell urine, feces, see needles on the sidewalk. There's a homeless issue. There is violent crime that needs to be dealt with. So public safety to me is very important. And one of the things I think we need to address, and I'm hoping the legislature addresses it, but I'm telling you that if I have the privilege of serving as governor, I'm going to be a strong advocate for this, and that's really fixing what I think is a flawed bail law right now. Because
yes, actually there's hearings going on at the State House today and tomorrow on bail.
Good. Well, it needs to be fixed because we have essentially a revolving door of criminals right now, and especially in some of our larger cities where people that should be held on bail are not being held, and unfortunately innocent people are being harmed as a result of it. So I think that's a critical issue people are concerned about. They're concerned about, obviously we still have a very significant fentanyl issue. We have had a spike in fentanyl deaths, and so having served as Attorney General, I believe that we should have the toughest penalties here in New Hampshire for fentanyl dealers. I want them to understand that if you come over the border and you traffic fentanyl into this state, that you're going to be dealt with the toughest here, that you will go to prison longer than any of our neighbors. Why? We want to discourage them from doing this. And then obviously the people that are struggling with addiction, let's make sure they get treatment that works. Let's look at the programs that are the best, the metrics of helping people to recover the most, and make sure we get people that type of help. But I hear a lot about this in the state. The other issue I hear quite a bit about is housing. I think that there's a concern that there's not enough affordable housing for people that are workforce, essentially.
What is workforce housing?
Well, workforce housing is really the housing that if you want to have people work in your neighborhood. By the way, it's everyone too. It's teachers, it's firefighters, it's police, those who are working in the community, like making sure that there's a place they can live in that they can afford. And we have a shortage right now.
Oh, I know. There's nothing. There's nothing available, and the rents are outrageous.
Right. Exactly. And think about the young people that we want to keep here to build New Hampshire's future. If they can't afford the rent, then they're not going to be able to live here. So I hear a lot about that. Obviously, we're a local control state, which is important. I respect that, and it's important. But the state has a piece of this too. For example, the permitting process at the state. I think it can be better and more efficient.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, absolutely. To be able to get a development approved at the state, you have to get multiple agencies to approve, whether it's DOT, DES. You have to get the approval from the Fish and Game Conservation piece with respect to how the development might impact animals. So that's just some of them that need to be approved. And so making sure that that process works efficiently, that it works in a time where people can get answers in a timely fashion. Unfortunately, I'm hearing from people who work in this field and developers that they're waiting too long for answers. Yes. And even when they want to build things that are important here in New Hampshire. So I think we can do better there, and that's something I'm going to be working on as governor, because we need to make sure that we have that housing that people can live in and that they can work here and contribute to our state.
So I've got all these comments going around in my head. So I always like to say what things stand for. So DOT is Department of Transportation. Yes. DES is Department of Environmental Services.
Right. Thanks for fixing the acronyms. You know, there were a lot of acronyms in Washington too. It's like alphabet soup. I know, especially the military, right?
Yes. Yeah. When my husband got out of the Air Force, I finally was starting to learn the lingo, and I started using it. And I called our pediatrician, and I said, well, my husband just separated from the Air Force, and I don't know what else I said, but I was using letters and lingo, and he thought I said that I got a divorce, and he was absolutely shocked. I'm like, no.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I remember because I served on the Armed Services Committee in the Senate, and
I remember that.
It was like I used to have a translation of what every department and agency is when I was questioning, the military.
When Dick Hinch, I know you knew Dick Hinch.
Oh,
and you were
God
here
rest
for
his soul. I loved Dick Hinch. What a wonderful man.
And thank you for coming to the dedication of his bridge.
He was such a special person, and I know you appreciate this. Every time you saw Dick, what did you get? You got a big hug and a big smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he put me on the Committee of Science, Technology, and Energy when I don't know why, because I didn't ask for that committee. But now I'm on my 5th term there, and I love it. But I remember sitting in there wondering, why did he put me on this committee? I don't know anything they're saying. And I was very patient, and I started taking notes. And then one day somebody said PUC. I'm like, oh, I know that one, Public Utilities Commission. So.
Well, I think he knew that you were going to work hard and do your homework. That's why I put you on the committee.
Well, we had the issue. He wanted somebody from Merrimack on the committee because of the Kinder Morgan pipeline.
Oh, very important. Yes.
So,
I remember that issue well.
Yeah, but I know it's contentious. It's very contentious on that committee. But I also had a comment about the fentanyl, because New Hampshire still has one of the biggest problems in the nation.
We do.
As well as West Virginia, which I didn't know.
We do, yeah. West Virginia, New Hampshire. And then when I was in the Senate, I helped lead the effort to pass what's called the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act. And that was really focused. It's still the biggest piece of federal legislation focused on prevention, treatment, recovery, supporting states in those efforts. But I think this continues to be an issue we need to work on. And I think with those treatment and recovery efforts, we also have to have enforcement. Because, the other day, there was an arrest in Lawrence and the arrest for the fentanyl dealers, the amount of fentanyl seized could have killed 500,000 people. That's staggering, Janine.
Yes, it is.
And, our law enforcement are working really hard on this. They're working in conjunction, state, local, federal. But we need to make sure once they arrest someone that they're held accountable.
So the treatment is an issue that I hear from my constituents.
I bet you do.
The whole drug ordeal is very heavy on the minds of a lot of people.
It is, because I'm sure you've met the
in
families who have lost someone that they love.
Oh, a kid in mine. Well, he's
so
not a
tragic.
Kid, but I have 6 kids. So one of the middle boys, his first best friend, lived in our neighborhood, and he died of a fentanyl overdose.
Awful.
I think on Thanksgiving. It's been a few years now,
Yeah.
but so that holiday is now ruined for his family forever, and his mother will never get that image out of her mind of seeing her son lying dead from a drug overdose.
So tragic. And I have to say, I've met many families that have suffered like that in New Hampshire.
And it's awful. So I know went
it's
down.
another
to the
reason why we hopefully we talked about the border security issue, but it's really a sieve over that border, all the fentanyl being trafficked in.
Yes, and supporting our law enforcement is also very important.
Law enforcement, I think that's really important. And, for me, having worked closely with them side by side when I was a murder prosecutor and then as Attorney General, they have very tough jobs. And it really troubled me to see this national dialogue that was, whether it was defund the police or this anti-police rhetoric, and I can assure the law enforcement of this state, I'm going to have their back if I have the privilege of serving as governor. I know you've been a strong supporter of law enforcement, but
yes.
When we're all, enjoying our Thanksgiving dinner, they're out keeping us safe. We have to remember that. All of our first responders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, down in Texas, everybody supports the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
They do.
And here too, I think it's important. To me, they need to understand we have a big recruitment and retention problem right now for police.
Look around the country. Why would
Right.
anybody want to be a police officer?
So in New Hampshire, this has to be a very welcoming place for police. It's important.
Mm-hmm. I know. I used to know all the officers, and now so much time's gone by, and now they have
I know
a lot
they're
of
younger.
new people, and I'm like, I don't know that one.
I know, especially when I work with them when I was a prosecutor, and now all the guys I worked with and women I worked with are prosecutors. They're like either they're leading the department or they're retired. So it tells you how long I've been around.
So we have about 5 minutes left. Is there a topic that we should have covered that I failed to ask you about?
I think that we talked about the public safety issues, the law enforcement issues, the border, education. But I think it's really important that we understand that we can't take this state for granted. Because I know you fought for this, but this state could change pretty quickly if you got leadership in Concord that, for example, didn't believe in our tax structure, which gives us a strong economic advantage.
Right.
So when I think about what's at stake in this election, it's really about not only just talking about what live free or die, which is our great state motto, but making sure that we protect, preserve, and strengthen it. And so that's what gets me up every day in this campaign. And there's a lot of issues that we need to address, but we have so much good going on in this state too.
Now, if somebody wants to find out more about your campaign, is there a website? And I remember when you were on the show before, and I asked you, so it was Kelly 4 something, and I remember asking if it was a number 4 or the word.
Yes,
F-O-R.
so you've got a great memory on that, because actually my campaign site for governor is kelly4newhampshire.com, but it's F-O-R, Kelly for newhampshire.com, and if you go to that website, you will see that we have pull-down menu on various issues, and you can see where I stand on those issues. And if you want to get involved, you can sign up and volunteer. I want your listeners and viewers to know that I'm going to work my tail off for this state. I love this state, and we have a great state, and we can make it even better.
Thank you. And you are well qualified. You served as the Attorney General. You've been a United States Senator. I can't think of anybody else who would be better for the job.
Thanks, Janine. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So I guess we can end the show here, or you take the privilege of talking directly to the voters.
We can end it here. That works.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching.